Welcome to demo day 3 of 5. This is in support of this organizational operating handbook I'm making for Coda's AI at Work Challenge. In the first demo, we created this offboarding process using AI to create a description and some steps to complete the process. And in the second demo, we added a number of resources to support employees, workers as they do the work. So we added a checklist and an interview script. Today, we're going to look at, I think, one of the most powerful features of the system, which is the ability to ask a process a question. This sort of interactivity does so much to help a person understand not just how a process might work or how the organization might expect a worker to engage with a process, but also what processes we have, what resources we have, even generic information about concepts, ideas. So first off, I've renamed chat with a process to ask a process because really it's just a one-way dialogue with the process. There's no ongoing chat history like some other AI models. And I broke this out so it's much easier to find. So now you'll see this ask button right in the process library, so it's very easy to get to. And one thing I haven't shown yet is there are two different types of search, keyword and AI, and the results do vary quite a bit. For example, if we search pricing, it immediately, in keyword, it immediately brings up the pricing strategy because the word pricing is sort of peppered throughout. But if you try to keyword search something like, how do I price a service, you get nothing because that phrase doesn't appear. Whereas if you use AI search for this, then you tend to get much richer results. Okay, so it brought up the same strategy, but again, just using a question there instead of a keyword search. So now that we have this process up, let's just jump in and ask it a question. And the navigation tabs are details, which will show you, everything about the process, and ask the process, which is this focused area for asking the process. And here's where you enter your question. So the nice thing is you can ask it questions that you may not be comfortable asking a human. So something like, what is a pricing strategy anyway? Maybe you don't know. Maybe you've been asked to prepare a pricing strategy and have no idea what it is. So after a bit of time, it gives us this nice description of what a pricing strategy is, and it's still referring back to all of the information it has about the process, the steps, the resources we have, and our company values. Let's say what we're asking for is more like an inference. So instead of a pricing strategy being, typically directed to an external product, maybe we ask how we could apply the kind of concept or process of pricing strategy in people operations. And here we go. It says it's specifically designed for developing and implementing pricing strategy. It can be applied to people operations. So setting clear goals and objectives for development and growth, better understanding our customers and competitors, which helps conduct employee surveys and analyze competitors' companies. Yeah, and of course it qualifies it by saying, well, it's not really designed for this, so it might not be a perfect fit, but there you go, just in case. So forget about this. Let's go back to the offboarding process that we've been dealing with so far, and let's ask it a couple of questions. So you can either jump into the ask or, there's numerous places where you can find this. If you happen to be in the details section, then you can just click the ask the process button there. But I just want to point out that the AI is also creating emojis for the processes. So when you create a process, it'll pick an emoji to fit. And I just kind of really appreciate that the one they've chosen for this is this like bye hand. I think that's kind of funny. So good on it for that. So imagine your employee, you're coming in trying to figure out what this offboarding process is about, how you might use it, and one of your questions might be, do we have standard exit interview questions? It says, yes, we do. We have a set of them. If there's a script, exit interview script is the resource we have. It's in step 5, a little bit of information about what's in there, and it's also going to pull that step. All right, and there it is. So that's awesome. So yeah, there's step 5. I can go into the details of that if I really want to see. There's that exit interview script, so that's great. It found that, and this little add to Q&A history will push that question down into it's like a organizational FAQ, but specific to these questions about process. So there it is. It's the data was created, and now someone can come in and see that they're sorted by favorites. So if people really like this answer, then they can favorite it, and that'll help push the answer up to the top of the list for this process. So that works well. But what about questions for things that the process doesn't cover? So something like questions around intellectual property and how the organization deals with that. Now I know that the process doesn't specifically speak to IP, so we'll see what the AI does. So that's great. It says there's no guidance around it. It lets you know that it's a great idea to consult with legal or HR to get some more information about IP. So based on that information, maybe the next question I have is something like, if we were to add a new step to the process regarding IP, what would that look like? And now we'll get the AI to actually do some work for us to talk about how we can include that into our process. Okay, so once again, it says there's no specific step, but if you want to add a step, then departing employee doesn't take any information. It could involve a review of confidential, sensitive information. So it's included a lot of the starting points for building out another step in the process, or at least incorporating something to do with IP into one of our existing steps. And so it did find a related step, which is no surprise. But what I can do is go through and find something that looks similar to what I'm looking for. So maybe I think it belongs with collect company assets. And that's where this give feedback on this process step comes into play, because now I have the ability to take this question and answer and convert it into a useful piece of feedback that when a person is running the process, when they're actually coming in to engage it and create tasks out of it, they'll see this feedback before they run the process. It says, hey, maybe we should consider adding some additional information about IP or some different requirements or specifications in this process about IP before we do our next offboarding for a Joe employee. Okay, and that's what we're going to talk a little bit more about tomorrow. I'll show you the feedback, and there's some sort of robust features there for summarizing feedback and giving you specific direction based on feedback collected as to how you can improve your processes. Yeah, so thanks for watching. If you watched, if you didn't, then I guess I'm not talking to you. Um, yeah, this template's going to be free as part of Coda's AI at Work Challenge. So keep following along, and yeah, happy processing.